You check your phone once, then again 4 minutes later. By hour 3, you've touched it 30 times and gotten nothing done. And you tell yourself it's because you lack discipline. That's not it. Your brain isn't broken. It's working exactly as designed. And that design was never built for a world with 200 notifications a day. Here's the difference between this and every other focus tips video you've watched. This isn't about willpower or morning routines. It's about the actual wiring in your skull, and why fighting it head-on always fails. But before we get into that, you need to understand why multitasking, the thing you think makes you efficient, is quietly wrecking your output. Because here's the myth. Somewhere along the way, "I'm good at multitasking" became a badge of honor. Something you'd say in a job interview with a straight face. The guy who answers emails during meetings, texts during dinner, has 4 tabs of work open while watching something else entirely. He's not doing 4 things. He's doing one thing badly 4 times and calling it productivity. Your brain can't actually multitask, not in the way people mean it. What it does is switch, rapidly, expensively, between tasks, and each switch costs you time you never get back. Researchers call it attention residue. When you move from task A to task B, part of your brain is still stuck on A. Not for a second, for up to 23 minutes, according to research out of UC Irvine. Multitasking isn't doing 2 things at once. It's doing 2 things badly, one at a time. So why does this keep happening to smart, capable people? Because the brain is a novelty-seeking machine, and your phone is the most sophisticated novelty delivery device ever built. Every notification is a tiny gamble. You don't know what's behind it, and that uncertainty is exactly what makes it addictive. Slot machines work the same way. Variable rewards, not guaranteed ones, are what hook you. This is where it gets uncomfortable, because it's not really about your phone. It's about what your phone has trained your brain to expect. Something new, every few minutes, forever. And once that expectation is set, silence starts to feel like a problem instead of a gift. Let's talk about what's actually happening in your brain when you sit down to focus. Attention isn't one single switch you flip. It's a resource, and it's finite, like a battery that drains with every decision you make. That's decision fatigue, and it's the reason you can plan a perfect productive morning and still end up scrolling by 10 a.m. Every choice, what to wear, what to eat, which email to answer first, spends a little bit of that battery before you've even opened the work that matters. So why does this matter to you? Because if you're making 50 small decisions before you sit down to do the one big thing, you're starting the real work on empty. That's not a character flaw. That's basic neurochemistry. Now here's the part nobody explains well. Deep focus, the state researchers call flow, isn't something you drop into instantly. Your brain needs time to ramp up, almost like an engine warming before it can hit top speed. Studies on deep work suggest it can take 15 to 20 minutes of uninterrupted effort before your brain settles into that state where distractions actually start to quiet down. Which means every time you check a notification, just for a second, you're not losing a second. You're resetting the engine back to 0. Think about a sprinter versus a marathon runner. A sprinter explodes for 10 seconds and stops. A marathoner has to find a rhythm and hold it for miles. And that rhythm is fragile. Break it once, and you're rebuilding it from scratch. Deep work is a marathon. Notifications turn it into 100 failed sprints. I remember sitting down to write for what I thought would be a 2-hour block, and checking my phone 11 times in the first 40 minutes. I counted, because I didn't believe it myself. What I actually finished in those 2 hours could have taken 30 minutes if I hadn't touched the phone once. That gap wasn't about intelligence. It was about protecting one uninterrupted stretch of time, something I hadn't done in years. Here's the twist, and it's the part almost nobody talks about. You'd think the fix is just delete the apps, put the phone in another room, classic advice you've heard 100 times. But the real driver of chronic distraction isn't the phone at all. It's an understimulated brain looking for an exit. If the task in front of you feels boring, vague, or too big, your brain will reach for a dopamine hit from literally anything else, phone or no phone. Take the phone away and you'll just stare at the wall, then reorganize your desk, then suddenly remember you need to do laundry right now. Distraction isn't the disease, it's the symptom. The disease is a brain that doesn't know exactly what done looks like for the task in front of it. This changes everything about how you should think about focus. It's not a battle against your phone. It's a battle against ambiguity. Vague goals create restless brains, and restless brains will always find an escape hatch. Notifications just happen to be the easiest one lying around. And this is where memory quietly enters the picture too. Every time you switch tasks, you're not just losing time, you're weakening encoding, the process your brain uses to actually store what you just did. That's why an afternoon full of busy work, often feels like it evaporated by evening. You did things. You just didn't build anything your brain considered worth keeping. So what do the people who actually stay focused for hours do differently? It's rarely about superhuman willpower. It's about removing the number of decisions their brain has to make before the real work starts. Imagine someone starting tomorrow morning. First, they wouldn't open their phone at all. Not check it, not glance at it, just leave it in another room entirely. Because proximity alone is enough to steal attention even when it's silent. Then, instead of sitting down with a vague plan like, work on the project, they'd write one absurdly specific sentence. Finish the first draft of section 2. Nothing else. Vague goals invite escape. Specific ones close the exits. From there, they'd protect one block, say 90 minutes, as untouchable, treating it less like a to-do item and more like a meeting they can't cancel on themselves. Some people use a timer. Some use a specific song they only play during that block, training their brain to associate that sound with depth. The method matters less than the boundary itself. And here's something almost nobody mentions. The best performers don't try to focus for 8 hours straight. They work in waves. Intense concentration followed by real rest, not scrolling disguised as rest, but actual disengagement, a walk, silence, staring at nothing. Because attention doesn't recover by switching to a lighter task, it recovers by stopping entirely. This is the part that separates people who produce real work from people who just feel busy all day. It's not about finding more hours, it's about protecting fewer, better ones. You can't multitask your way into mastery. You can only single-task your way there, one protected block at a time. None of this works, though, if you're still treating focus like a personality trait instead of a skill, because skills get built through repetition, and most people quit after one distracted attempt and decide they're just not focused people. They are. They just never gave their brain a task specific enough, or a boundary firm enough to prove it. Which brings up something we haven't touched yet. Attention isn't just about output. It's tied directly to how you remember your own life. The sharper your focus, the richer the memory of what you actually did with your time. And the blurrier your attention, the blurrier your last 5 years probably feel in hindsight. And that idea, that distraction isn't just costing you productivity, but quietly costing you the memory of your own days. That's a much bigger conversation than notifications and app timers. And it's one worth sitting with a little longer.